Has anybody ever told you that you've overstayed your welcome? You might want to move on before you get salvaged. Hey y'all, good afternoon. It's Ned over My Philippine Dreams, N to the E to the D over at MPD. 206.8 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal coming at you from Dumaguete City, the city of gentle people, the Philippines. And Michelle's not here, but Angel's going to be coming in and out of the shot probably. All right, just a real short video. I actually posted something up on our Facebook. If you're not a member of our Facebook, you can go over to Philippine Dreams on Facebook and join our group and get little notifications of stuff there. I put up an article that was actually in the Daily Mail out of the UK, but it was written by some Australians. And it has to do with basically what we refer to here in the Philippines as salvage. And we're going to get a little bit further into that in a minute. The article talks about ever since President Duterte came into power, he told drug addicts and drug dealers, you better turn yourselves in before I get into office. And if you don't turn yourself in, there's going to be some pretty severe ramifications. So according to the news, according to government and reporting statistics, about 60,000 drug addicts have turned themselves in. I don't know the process of what's actually going in because there's not a whole lot of drug treatment programs in the Philippines, so I don't know what's happening with them. I do know that the drug dealers who turned themselves in were held for a while. A lot of them, they got all their personal information. They made them take oaths not to sell drugs anymore, and they were released because there were so many that turned themselves in that the Philippine penal system didn't have the capacity to hold all of them. Government statistics also suggest that 43,000 drug dealers have been neutralized. Now, they're saying that there were 200 that were killed in police shootouts. As to how they neutralized these other 43,000, I'm not really sure. I don't have the details on that. But the topic of today's video has to do with what they call salvage in the Philippines. Now, to our little Western minds, when we think of salvage, we think of going out and recovering something from a disaster. Say there's a shipwreck and we're going to try to salvage what we can. It's also used a lot metaphorically in conversations. I'm going to try to salvage what I can from the relationship or from whatever happened. But in the Philippines, as we all know, and if we haven't learned by now, we have to learn, it's different here. Salvage doesn't mean trying to recover something. It actually means basically the extrajudicial summary execution of an undesirable element in the community. And it's part of life here. I'm not going to say it's prevalent, it's going on all the time, but it is something that occurs. Usually it's used in conjunction with either a police operation that's off the books because they're trying to avoid any protracted criminal process, or it's military. So it's usually military, but sometimes it's also vigilante groups. Like even here in Dumaguete, Dumaguete has a vigilante group. There are groups operating within the community because there's only so much money for the police, and the police can only do so much. So what they basically do is they go up to the individual, say it's a drug dealer, say, hey, listen, we know what you're doing, we want you to stop, and if you don't stop, we're going to take extreme measures with you. If they don't stop, they'll get killed. I'm not going to put a link to anything on the Dumaguete vigilante groups because I don't want any beef with any of the vigilante groups in Dumaguete. But if you do a Google search on Dumaguete vigilante groups, you'll probably come up with some relevant information. Now, as to where the term came from, this is what I found pretty interesting because I like etymology. I like how this stuff kind of works. Originally, from what my research, and this isn't me coming up with this stuff on my own, it's me researching, basically with Google. What I came up with was salvaje, which is Tagalog. And in salvaje typically means naughty or rude, something bad. Now, when the Spanish came over here and everybody was speaking Spanish up until the turn of the century when the Americans came in and they all switched to English, salvaje sounded like salvaje. So somehow salvaje and salvaje started being used interchangeably. When the Spanish left and the English, well, the Americans came in, we started using the term salvage. So salvaje, so it goes from salvaje to salvage. So that's where that comes from. And again, it has to do with the extrajudicial summary execution of undesirable elements. And this stuff does happen and it's part of life here. So that's why I'm doing this short little video on it. So I'm going to put the link to the Daily Mail article down in the video description box. I strongly suggest, if you're interested in anything to have to do with salvage or what's going on ever since President Duterte took office in regards to methamphetamine, drug dealers, and drug addicts. Check out that article. It's very cogently written. It's very well done. Warning though, there are some pretty graphic photos in there. So if you're on the squeamish side, you might not want to see that. And again, according to official and unofficial reports, 60,000 drug addicts have supposedly turned themselves in and taken an oath not to use shabu anymore. 200 drug dealers have been killed in police shootouts, and 43,000 others have been neutralized. And again, I'm not sure what neutralized means. So what's your experiences with salvage in the Philippines, vigilante activity, taking the law into your own hands, and just kind of going outside the whole criminal process and just getting things done? Leave those experiences down in the video description box. If you have any questions, you can ask them down there. Join in the discussion, be a part of this. It's something that happens here. Until next time, this is Ned over My Philippine Dreams. Take care, y'all.